Hello dear students, it's me Muhammad Faisal. Today we are going to solve two questions related to Avogadro's law. As these are related to Avogadro's law, first we'll see what Avogadro's law is. Let's see. Avogadro's law states that equal volumes of all gases contain equal numbers of particles at same temperature and pressure. While all gases have equal volumes at same temperature and pressure, question arises here because we observe variation in volumes of gases on changing the temperature and pressure. As we are discussing, we are talking about the particles. According to Avogadro's number, uh, 1 mole of any substance contains 6.022 times 10 to the power of 23 particles. Same as 1 dozen of eggs and 1 dozen of bananas are equal in numbers. So, according to Avogadro's law, we find the relation of mole and volume. According to this law, all gases contain the specific volume means 22.4 liters. It is also called the molar volume. Now we will see how to define the molar volume. One mole of any gas contains the volume of 22.4 liters at STP. This is the definition of molar volume. What is STP? STP is abbreviation for standard temperature and pressure. Standard temperature is 0 degrees centigrade or 273.15 Kelvin, and pressure is 180 m. Now we'll solve the question. The first question is, how many grams are there in 22.4 liters of nitrogen? To solve this question, we will use the mole and volume relation. To find the grams of nitrogen, we are to write the molecular mass of nitrogen. That is equal to 1 mole. From this relation, 1 mole of nitrogen contains 22.4 liters. That is equal to 28 grams of nitrogen. So this is answer for the question. And second question is, as you know, 1 mole of nitrogen contains 22.4 liters, and 1.5 moles occupy more volume. So we will multiply 22.4 liters with 1.5 moles of nitrogen. 1.5 moles of nitrogen, 1.5 times 222.4 liters, that becomes 33.6 liters. That's all for now. Feel free to comment me below the question you have. I will try to reply as soon as possible. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next video.